Yeah, so like first and foremost, I want to make sure that everybody here doesn't get it twisted. I am and have done work as basically an art director. I've, you know, personally leaned a lot more towards the curatorial side of things. So like I am by no means like a technical expert. So I want to make sure that's up front, very much so. I know a lot of the ins and outs of it. I know specifically like resources that can be extremely helpful for this, but I won't be the one to tell you the nitty gritty. Okay, so I just want to make sure that's very upfront. What I can tell you is that it's a very different beast when you're talking about ordinals versus stamps, and that's not a slight against stamps in any way. It's just me making note of the fact that like I think you have a lot more liberty within the constraints that ordinals offer at this stage of the game, and a lot like easier paths for display. So there's like that's its own thing. But when you talk about compression and you're talking about the different types, it really does come down to what it is that you're trying to put on chain, right? If you're trying to put code on chain, I've worked with a number of different code artists, and one collection that I personally have independently curated and put on chain is a generative art collection. It's entirely code based. With those collections, you really don't run into these issues because 9 out of 10 times the code is likely going to be optimized. It's going to be minified to the point where, like, whether you're deploying it on stamps or you're deploying it on ordinals, like, it should be very, very easy to do. Um, Especially if it's going to be recursively calling different libraries that have already been inscribed on chain. But if you're talking about SVGs and typical just JPEG inscriptions, if you're moving something from Photoshop or Illustrator, or I mean, hell, in some circumstances, even Canva and Procreate, like there's a lot of different things you can do to make sure that compression goes through in a way that is conducive for your chain. I don't put down any chain at all. Like I'm very much so meet the artist where they are sort of guy. Like that's how I operate. So if they're trying to deploy it fully on chain on ETH, if they're trying to put it full on chain on Bitcoin, the bigger message is like you can do it. You just need to open up your field of view so that you can see the different options that are in front of you. The two that I most of the time come back to for helping people understand compression and like how to simply get their stuff prepared for on-chain deployment are a tool that's made by OXDid over on Ethereum that I've seen people port that code specifically over, and that is a dithering tool that basically allows you to dither your image using his online interface to then export that dithered version into a file type that is smaller that you can then inscribe. It's a great tool. Like truly, DID is one of the masters, at least in my opinion, of creating open source tooling for artists that is highly effective. So that's number one. The other one, if you really are just overwhelmed by it and you're just like, you know what, fuck this, I just want to put something on chain, right? If you're that person, number one, hats off to you because like just go out and get your hands dirty, go break shit. That's what you would want to do. I encourage people to go over and check out a tool that is made by a company called Oviato. And what they do is kind of beside the point. But they had a number of different tools that they rolled out over time that made it so that you could inscribe hyper efficiently. I need to find the exact link to where you can use it live now because they've kind of redirected how they are personally operating inside. They're trying to make it, a much more passkey native wallet at this point, but they kept the tool online and it still is very much so usable. It was back when it was originally deployed, I believe they were operating under the name Ordlify, and their compression tool basically allowed you to break up a larger image into okay, like so let's say that your image was let's just say that it was like a 100 megabyte image. Okay, if you took that 100 megabyte image and then broke it up into segments depending on like how it pixel sized out, so let's just say like it was 10 by 10, you would break it into, I believe that would make it 10 different inscriptions wide, 10 inscriptions deep. So it'd be 100 total inscriptions. And then it would then weave it all back together using recursion to create that image on chain. And it would actually do so in a way that made it a lot easier to inscribe and a lot cheaper and more affordable to inscribe. So that's all done through a native type of image compression that they developed. Um, I'm going to be really disappointed if I find out that they took it offline. But I'm trying to look for it right now so I can pin it to the top for you. Those are the two that I would encourage you to go take a look at first and foremost. But at the same time, I go back to what I said originally. Like, go break shit. Like, if you want to go like just try this and get familiar, the best way to do it is just like actually going up to the platforms that have made inscription extremely easy and use them and get familiar, right? They have knowledge bases and code bases out there that are totally open that you can go read through and get very familiar. You can translate it into your native language if need be. And the big three at this stage of the game are Gamma, Ordinals Bot, and lastly, a tool that was developed by the team that's developing Ordzar right now, over on Ordos. That's ORDOS. I'll pin a bunch of that shit at the top for you just to be helpful. But um, right now, it's starting to look like that Ordlify tool that Oviato made might be offline, and that sucks if that's true. So I'm gonna keep grinding. I'll try and find it for you. But yeah, it's unfortunate if that's the case.